Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. NBA. Full-level Jordan Option 1. Watch Jordan's 10 matches live and reward him with his peak talent panel. Option 2. Get Jordan's autograph and randomly reward talent points. Option 3. If you score a goal at any game venue, reward the Curry shooting training card. Choose a fart, isn't it all fragrant? In the 1996 NBA Finals, Jordan, who had once again won the championship, did not know what kind of monster he had created that night. This monster also joined the NBA with the golden generation such as Kobe and Iverson, quietly beginning his dominant career. Iverson. Young Ming is faster than me, he can score better than me. Shark. Stop talking about my grandmother, I'm willing to assist him. James. He debuted at the peak of his career, but reached his peak for 20 years, even longer than me, Kobe. He ruled the 96 Golden Generation, the 03 Platinum Generation, and the entire NBA, Jordan. Because of this foolishness, in the future, I can only pretend to be forced to extend 5 fingers. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Jordan and Chain Rewards. Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the evening of June 16, 1996, at the United Center Arena. The Chicago Bulls and Seattle Supersonics Finals, Game 6. That night, everyone was watching. In the previous year, whether it was fans calling or magician John kneeling in front of the camera pleading, after playing baseball for nearly 2 years, Jordan finally issued an "I am back" amidst anticipation declaration. The league shook up and down, as President Stern, who was struggling due to ratings plummeting, along with a group of executives and all team owners, cheered with excitement. The NBA is saved. With Jordan's announcement of his comeback, stocks of 3 companies that have partnerships with him skyrocketed, with a market value of $2.3 billion. After Jordan made a comeback, he changed to wearing the number 45 jersey, and Chicago fans began frantically buying new jerseys. In the United States, all number 45 jerseys sold more in 2 weeks than the total monthly sales of Shaq O'Neal, Anfield Harda, and Grant Hill souvenirs from the previous month. The manufacturer had to use all the branch factories to work overtime day and night, pouring all their manpower and resources into producing the number 45 jersey, but the supply still exceeded demand. There are too many fans who want to watch Jordan on site. Since Jordan announced his comeback, the Bulls have sold out their home tickets early on, and even tickets for the game against the Bulls at home against the Hawks have been sold out within a day. In the first game of his comeback against the Pacers, Jordan, wearing the number 45 jersey, faced Reggie Miller, making it the highest-rated game in the NBA since 1975. Miller even felt a bit unhappy. "I'm a grass mud horse, why did I choose us?" After Jordan announced his return, American television broadcasters immediately changed their subsequent broadcast plans. The mayor of Chicago immediately announced, "Chicago has once again become the most charming tourist city in the world." Upon hearing the news of Jordan's comeback, then President Clinton was thrilled because the United States was experiencing a severe unemployment crisis and he was struggling to solve the problem. He immediately told the media, Jordan's return will add 10 million job opportunities to the United States. On this level, Jordan has been a big help to Clinton. You should know that when Jordan announced his retirement earlier, the Dow Jones Composite Index plummeted by 125 points, Nike's stock price plummeted by 4%, and there were even rumors on Wall Street that someone had jumped off a building as a result. It also directly caused a loss of $1 billion for the city of Chicago, with indirect losses reaching billions. The Bulls market has dropped by more than half, with home attendance dropping to less than 50% and ratings plummeting by 4 percentage points, causing Nike's global sneaker sales to decline by 30%, annual sales revenue to decrease by $250 million, and stock prices to plummet by 4%. This is the impact of Jordan's retirement on the main sponsor Nike, which does not include the other 9 advertisers who need to pay him millions of dollars in annual endorsement fees. Jordan himself also lived up to expectations after his comeback, leading the Bulls' Iron Hooves to ravage the league this season, achieving the best record in league history of 72 wins and 10 losses, and advancing to the playoffs. In the playoffs, they even eliminated the Miami Heat, coached by Pat Riley, 3.0. The Gentlemen swept the New York Knicks 4.1, and the Orlando Magic swept Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway 4.0. They avenged being eliminated from the Eastern Conference last season and went on to face the Seattle Supersonics in the finals. In the first 5 games, the Bulls took a 3.2 lead over the Supersonics and took the lead in securing the match point. Tonight, if they play another game, they will be able to win the championship. Tonight, whether it's the audience in front of the TV or the nearly 20,000 fans present, countless people's eyes are all focused here, nervously and eagerly watching this game. These two teams, this strong Bulls, and Jordan. In terms of support rate, naturally the Bulls and Jordan dominate, with very few fans supporting the Supersonics. And the Bulls were also in the game, constantly beating the Supersonic and leading the entire game. In the last 4 minutes, they even led by 16 points at one point. The Supersonics want to recover the score and turn the table in 4 minutes, but in this bayonet-red, flesh-to-flesh battle of the NBA Finals, especially under the defense of the Iron Bulls, it's as difficult as heaven. As the team approaches their 4th championship in history, the Bulls will hear deafening cheers on the field every time they score a point or defend a goal. Even the majority of the audience spontaneously stood up and refused to sit down again. The Supersonics ultimately failed to turn the tables, and the Bulls held their lead until the last second of the game. The whistle sounded, the game ended, and the home atmosphere was unprecedentedly explosive, almost overturning the roof of the United Center Arena. Countless fans jumped up in excitement at this moment, cheering wildly and celebrating loudly. After a 2-year hiatus, the Bulls once again won the championship after Jordan's comeback, achieving their 4th championship in history and also Jordan's 4th. At the end of the game, Jordan grabbed the game ball and threw it onto the floor, burying his face deeply on the basketball. Tonight, his performance was average, and he could even be said to be a bit poor. He only made 5 out of 19 shots in the game, but with his strong offensive momentum, he scored 10 free throws, scored 22 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, assisted 7, and had 2 powerful shots. Nevertheless, after winning 3 consecutive championships, retiring at the peak and returning to win again, such a legendary career color, such a legendary inspirational experience, and the psychological process in the process, even he himself was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He seemed to be comforting his father's spirit in heaven, and also immersed in the excitement of winning the championship. In front of countless enthusiastic fans, he was wearing a championship hat and hugged by his teammates to leave the scene and enter the player tunnel. As he passed through the import and export, a group of fans who had been waiting for a long time took out their belongings and reached out to him, demanding signatures. Michael, here. Jordan just looked up and a basketball suddenly appeared before his eyes. Leading the team to win the championship, he is in a great mood tonight. Regardless of who owns this basketball, he takes the opponent's colored pen, signs his name with a swish, and then carries his game ball into the player's tunnel. Okay, I have the signature. A young fan with black hair and yellow skin was excited as he watched his departure. Then, while the surrounding audience was still immersed in the atmosphere of the team winning the championship, he quickly left the stands, entered the court, rushed to the basket, and made a 3-step layup, picking the basketball that had just been signed into the basket. Schwa. As he landed, a series of ding-dong sounds echoed in his mind. Ding-dong. Congratulations to the host, complete option 1. Watch 10 games of Jordan live, reward Jordan's talent panel, ding-dong. Congratulations to the host, complete option 2. Get Jordan's autograph and randomly reward any number of talent points, congratulations to the host for obtaining 40 talent points during talent point extraction. Due to the talent value exceeding the required points, the overflow part will be converted into a random reward. Ding dong. The draw is completed. Congratulations to the host, obtain the ball control training card. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for completing option 3. If you score a goal at any game site, reward the shooting training card in the pool, seeking flower evaluations and rewards. Chapter 2. Full of talent. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Someone rushed in. Who's that guy? Wow, he scored 2 points on the layup, he's really great. Is he a Seattle fan? Not willing to let the team fail. What does this layup mean? Stop him quickly. Yang Ming's act of rushing into the court for a layup caught the attention of some fans, who were surprised and speculated that his celebration was due to the Bulls being too excited to win the championship, or was he venting his frustration as an opponent fan. Not only them, but also some of the Bulls' jerseys in celebration were confused. However, such a small disturbance quickly came to an end when the stadium security took Yang Ming away from the field. An hour later, a wine-red car was traveling on the main road between New York and Chicago, not too fast, about 70.80 kilometers per hour. What were you doing before? I don't know if we almost got into the police station because of this. No matter how excited you are, you can't do such extreme behavior, do you know? In the car, a young man in his 20s was sitting in the driver's cab with a displeased expression on his face. I'm sorry, cousin. Maybe it was because I got Michael's signature that I got a little carried away. Sitting in the passenger seat was Yang Ming, who caused a small disturbance. On the surface, he apologized, but secretly he didn't take it seriously. He didn't think that the Bulls, who were celebrating wildly after winning the championship, would remember him as a nobody. His cousin Yang Lehigh glanced at the signed basketball in the back seat, showing a hint of envy. In an instant, his gaze flashed a hint of cunning, and he snorted coldly, if you give me this basketball, I won't mind. Otherwise, when I go back, I will tell Auntie that we almost got into the police station because of your lack of composure. I believe she will teach you a lesson for this. Although he concealed the subtle greed on his face well, Yang Ming still noticed it. The latter shrugged and said openly, if you want it, just take it. A signature basketball from Jordan after winning the championship naturally has a lot of value, and if it is to be auctioned off, it will inevitably attract some basketball collectors to snatch it up. But for Yang Ming, it's optional at this moment, he doesn't really care. After all, his main purpose is not really to obtain this signature, but to complete the option task. Now, its task has been completed, and its only utilization value is probably to be used for the cousin's ceiling fee. What do you plan to do next? Perhaps bored, his cousin Yang Lehigh began to have nothing to say and asked. I plan to go to the Knicks for a trial. Yang Ming's gaze withdrew from the window and instinctively replied. Going for a trial? Are you joking? Yang Lehigh stared at him with wide eyes, and after a while, he sneered repeatedly, besides your height, what other talent do you have that makes you think you can enter the NBA? Yang Ming felt a bit regretful for being quick-witted for a moment, but he confidently said, how do you know if it's possible without trying? I actually signed up for the draft. Registration is registration, but I don't think you will have a team to choose from. Yang Lehigh remained non-committal. Although he had no knowledge of his cousin's talent and strength, his average performance in the high school championship at the opposing school this season showed everything. A guy who rarely performs in high school tournaments and only rotates his team lineup, still wants to enter the NBA. He thinks it's a fantasy, too imaginative. If there were no restrictions on registration for participating in the talent show, and the other party had the qualification to participate, he even thought that the other party would be rejected even if they registered. Would I tell you that I am incredibly talented and extremely talented? Despite being questioned, Yang Ming did not defend himself and only looked out of the car window seriously. Yang Ming birthday. September 1, 1978 height. 198 centimeters weight. 85 kilograms bounce. 110 centimeters run-up bounce. 125 centimeters arms span. 220 centimeters touch height. 272 centimeters strength. 99 speed. 99 agility. 99 bounce. 99 endurance. 99 explosive power. 99 spirit. 99 injury. 0 physical fitness evaluation. SS, best in history plus basic ability value view. 62 ball control. 50 passing. 42 organization. 33 adversarial ability. 71 plus attack ability value dunk. 80 under the basket. 68 by hitting. 35 close range. 41 Costco investment. 25 3 points. 13 free throw. 46 offensive rebounds. 55 plus defensive ability value single defense. 48 low defense. 56 collaborative prevention. 37 snatching. 34 cover. 46 defensive rebounds. 60 Yang Ming glanced at the attribute panel, his eyes full of excitement. He originally wanted to learn about Jordan's attribute panel, but after completing the task, all the 40 talent attributes he was rewarded with were covered, and the original values of the Jordan attribute panel he obtained were completely lost, becoming his own thing. All talents and abilities are in a series of 99, all at full value, which looks quite terrifying. This is probably the most buggy attribute panel among NBA stars he knows. Now this bug panel has become his own thing, and he feels both shocked and excited about it. How strong is Jordan's original panel? He doesn't know, he only knows that tonight this basketball god won his 4th championship of his career. This season, I almost completed the Grand Slam honors. MVP plus FMVP plus AMVP plus scoring king plus 1 shot plus 1 defense. Prior to this, he had already won 3 consecutive championships, 3 MVPs, 3 FMVPs, 7 scoring titles, 3 steals titles, multiple 1.1 defenses, and 1 DPOY, truly becoming the league's #1 player. After retiring at the peak for 2 years, he won the championship again and became the first person again. The terrifying and powerful aspect of Jordan goes without saying. But at this moment, Yang Ming's panel was upgraded on the basis of such a first-person's panel, all of which were 99 full of attributes. It was simply abnormal. This is going to spread, and the whole world will go crazy about it, shaking the entire alliance. Yang Ming himself will attract a frenzy of competition from 29 teams in the entire league. He is not yet 18 years old this year, so young and talented. Even the newly crowned Bulls cannot believe they are not interested. Of course, this cannot be spread. Even if it is rumored, no one will believe it. An ordinary high school student who was originally mediocre in talent and not well known would have such a terrifying talent. Unfortunately, apart from talent, all other ability values are useless. Yang Ming was shocked and looked at the ordinary, even extremely ugly ability values below, secretly sighing. He quickly remembered that in addition to these talents, he also received Curry's shooting training card and ball control training card. Thinking about this, he became determined. I just need to go for a trial. Whether it's the Knicks, Lakers, or any other team. Seeking flower evaluations and rewards. Chapter 3. Opportunities come. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The young Ming brothers spent a full 14 hours on the road and only returned to Chinatown in New York at noon the next day. The 2 brothers took turns driving, and when they got home, although Yang Lehai had slept in the car for a while, he was still very tired and drove home without saying a word. Yang Ming's mother and son did not live together with their family, but came out alone to rent a house. The landlord was Yang Ming's uncle himself. In the 1980s, China implemented reform and opening up, which sparked a wave of immigration. Countless college students or families, in just a few years, all immigrated to North America, including Uncle Yang Ming's family. Yang Ming's uncle, Yang Zhihui, belongs to the new generation of three who just resumed the college entrance examination. He came here to study and further his education for 2 years. After graduation, he did not choose to return to China, but stayed in New York. After 2 or 3 years of hard work, he not only made a career, but also opened a restaurant and became a boss. After having a small fortune, he boarded the immigration train and brought his wife and children from China over. The whole family immigrated, obtained a green card, became a descendant of the American emperor, and suddenly became elevated. When I returned to my home country for the Chinese New Year, I walked with a gentle breeze, becoming the envy of every family in the community. Originally, there was nothing to do with Yang Ming's mother and son, but after Yang Ming's father died in an accident on duty, his uncle felt grateful for Yang Ming's mother, who had been laid off from a state-owned enterprise early on, for not being able to take care of her children alone. A year ago, he gave himself a job in a restaurant. Due to the difficulty of leaving her hometown, Yang's mother was not willing at first. However, Yang Ming was a reborn person, and with the excuse that Yang Ming would receive better education after going abroad, the two of them made up their minds in just 2 or 3 sentences. The reason why Yang Ming advised his mother was precisely because of the 3 options provided by the system. How can you personally watch Jordan's game at the Chicago Bulls live without coming here? Upon arriving at the United States, Yang's mother worked in a restaurant as her uncle had wished. Through a year of hard work, diligence, and dedication, she had successfully become a team leader and became a minor leader in a restaurant. And Yang Ming, in order to spend money to buy tickets and watch the game on site in Chicago, also saved money every day. Finally, he completed the task of watching 10 games of Jordan on site intermittently during several holidays this season. Yang Ming's mother and son live in a 2-bedroom, 1 living room apartment. Apart from being small and cramped, they have to pay a monthly rent of $300, everything else is fine. He entered the house, returned to his room, took a shower, tidied himself up, and then went downstairs to his uncle's restaurant. Yang Zhihui's restaurant is located at the corner of 2 intersections ahead. It is an ordinary restaurant with only 1 floor, about 200 square meters, and can accommodate 30 to 40 customers at the same time. It earns about $3,000 to $4,000 in profits every day. But with a monthly profit of $100,000, it's quite impressive in Chinatown. It is very famous in Chinatown here, not only popular among locals, but also favored by tourists or foreigners. When Yang Ming walked into the Yang family restaurant, a busy and quiet atmosphere rushed over his face. Before he could even look around, his aunt, who was sitting at the cashier's door, saw him with a cold face and scolded, "Why did you go? Why is it so late? Hurry up and have dinner, then come out to help." The so-called help is not outdated. They are just squeezing Yang Ming, a child laborer. Yang Ming works part-time as a waiter and deliveryman here every day, but only earns $5 in salary, which is quite cheap. My aunt doesn't like him, not only because he is tall and can eat well, but also because she is dissatisfied with my uncle's arrangements for their mother and son. In her view, their mother and son were rural people who sought refuge with their relatives. Very poor and unable, still a single-parent family, with 2 extra pairs of bowls and chopsticks for daily meals, and housing arrangements. Especially the behavior of my uncle renting his house to Yang Ming's mother and son has the greatest opinion. She believes that if the house were not rented to their mother and son, but rented out to the public, it could generate an additional income of several $100s per month. She was like Granddad, a miser, holding on to the loss of a few $100s per month, and even looking at their mother and son with displeasure. If it weren't for my uncle coordinating and occasionally saying good things, coupled with Yang's mother's hard work, sharing too much of her pressure, otherwise they would only receive more white eyes and ridicule in their daily lives. Due to her sensory connection, the relationship between her cousins and their mother and son was also cold and indifferent, and it was difficult to see a good face when they met, almost treating them as outsiders. Fortunately, his cousin Yang Lehai, like Yang Ming, enjoys basketball and enjoys watching games, especially the Knicks and Jordan. They share a common topic and the generation gap is not significant, so his attitude towards Yang Ming is relatively good. But it's only slightly better. Going to the scene to watch the game, although Yang Lehai drove back and forth like a driver, Yang Ming was the one who paid for the gas and half of the ticket price. Their family's attitude towards the two of them was already felt by Yang Ming and Yang Mu, but after a year of getting along, they have become accustomed to it. Yang's mother swallowed her anger for Yang Ming, who, besides being responsible for the system's tasks, was more of a person of two generations. Her mentality relaxed and she didn't want to nitpick and make it difficult for her uncle to be a good person. Of course, if given the opportunity, he would still immediately take his mother away from here and stay away from his aunt's family. And now, this opportunity has come. Yang Ming didn't respond and walked straight into the kitchen. After hastily filling his stomach, he changed into his uniform and began to come out to serve dishes. Even if he wears a waiter's uniform, he is quite handsome. Every table of customers, whether they know him or not, will involuntarily show him a kind smile. Looking at his busy demeanor, Yang's mother, who was directing others to do things at the kitchen door, felt very distressed. At his age, he should study hard instead of doing such a job. In order to free up more time to spend on Curry's shooting training card and ball control training card to improve himself, Yang Ming announced on the spot that he would resign from this cheap child labor at the end of the night while having dinner with his mother and uncle's family. The mother showed great relief and understanding, and the uncle didn't say anything, agreeing with his head down. But the eldest aunt was very dissatisfied with the absence of a tall and hard-working colleague like him, and the whole process turned black. Her attitude and expression made him frown deeply, greatly displeased, and also strengthened his determination to improve himself as soon as possible and prepare for the trial training. We must take Mom out of here as soon as possible. Seeking flower evaluation. Chapter 4. Progress is gratifying. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The NBA Finals defeated the Supersonics 4.2, and that terrifying dynasty team, the Bulls, has returned. They will continue to dominate the NBA. NBA legend Bill Walton. Powerful Bulls, Eternal Jordan. After the Bulls defeated the Supersonics 4.2 in the NBA Finals, they won their fourth championship in team history. Michael's comeback not only proves his strength as the league's #1 player, but also proves that the Bulls, with him, are still the terrifying dynasty team. NBC basketball commentator Jeff Albert. After retiring from 3 consecutive championships and returning to win again, Michael not only saved the NBA's market and ratings, but also saved the Chicago Bulls. ESPN's famous invited basketball commentator and former Grizzlies head coach Mike Flatro. The Bulls' just won 4th championship indicates that Michael is not only the return of the strongest players, but also the league's first person to transform them and complete a crucial goal. ESPN's chief commentator Mike Bryn. It has been proven that strong players are always strong, even after retiring for 2 years, they can still dominate the league. Michael is still the terrifying #1 player in the league, said Miami Heat coach Pat Riley. In the past 2 days, the fishing vessels of the Alliance have become widely acclaimed by the Chicago Bulls after winning the championship. Jordan and the Bulls' 4th championship ignited the entire league. After his comeback, he not only led the Bulls to the league's best record of 72 wins and 10 losses, but also defeated the powerful Western Conference champions Seattle Supersonics, especially the G6, 4.2 in the NBA Finals. He dominated his opponents throughout the game and won his 4th championship of his career. At the same time, Jordan and the Bulls showed strong governance, which shocked the league. Jordan led the Bulls to dominate the NBA for 3 years, winning 3 consecutive championships before retiring at his peak. He has not played basketball in the past 2 years, but has once again unleashed the energy to defeat Gullah and win his 4th championship. This legendary and extraordinary strength is both heart-wrenching and shocking. Famous basketball commentators, and a group of NBA stars have all come forward to express their respect and admiration for Jordan. They believe that Jordan's terror lies in the fact that even after retiring at his peak for 2 years without touching the ball, the first person is still the first person, and he will still dominate you after returning. Your father or your father. This is what makes people feel the most terrifying and hopeless. Countless people believe that the Houston Rockets, who stole 2 championships while he was not in the league for 2 years, were undoubtedly lucky. But those other teams who want to recruit and compete for the championship while he is not in the league are undoubtedly poor losers. For example, the Seattle Supersonics, led by the 2 giants Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp, have just fallen from grace. The Seattle Supersonics finally eliminated the defending champions, the Rockets, who had won 2 consecutive championships while Jordan retired, and advanced to the NBA Finals. However, they sadly faced the strongest team in history, the Bulls, after Jordan's return. In the end, they were defeated and returned home. This is such a pitiful and sad fact. The New York Knicks, Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers, Phoenix Suns, and Portland Trail Blazers, among others, seem to have returned to the era of league emperors shrouded in shadow and under immense pressure from the super-strong teams that were once defeated by Jordan and the Bulls. It makes people feel helpless and extremely desperate. When interviewed by these top football stars, apart from praising Jordan and the Bulls, they were mostly silent. Faced with the reporter's question, Payton not only felt disheartened after losing the crown, but also full of unwillingness to be defeated by Jordan again. He replied with some anger and resentment. Why is this guy coming back? He doesn't need to prove anything anymore. His answer seems to resonate with most of the superstars in the alliance. You're right. That guy should rest assured when he retires, MMP. Not only the already famous stars in the league, but also the popular rookies preparing for the draft, such as Iverson, Kobe, Marbury, and Camby, have been interviewed. Michael is very strong, and winning the championship again is not surprising to us. He is our idol, and I look forward to competing with him after entering the league. Iverson said confidently and hesitantly when asked about his thoughts on Jordan. Michael is my idol, and I have been watching him play since I was young. I hope to be as strong as him in the future. Compared to Iverson, Kobe was slightly low key. For a newcomer who signs up for the draft after graduating from high school, he is not favored. In recent mainstream media draft predictions, he has been hovering between the lottery zone and the non-lottery zone. Not to mention the top 3, he only made 1 entry in the top 10. This is not only because he is only a high school student, under 18 years old, and too young. More importantly, it is because he has not proven himself on high-intensity stages like Iverson, Marbury, Camby, and Ray Allen in NCAA, and has played strong supporting games. The league has always had biases against high school students, even with exceptional talents like Kevin Garnett. They were only selected by the Timberwolves in 5th place last year. And last year, it was not yet a draft year, even though Garnett himself delivered a good 10+6+2 result in his just-past debut season, it still did not change the impression of senior management and mainstream media of major teams. However, for someone who has been watching Jordan play since he was young and striving for his future goals, this lack of confidence has made him very dissatisfied and also boosted his fighting spirit. However, Kobe didn't know that there was someone even worse off than him. At this moment, he could train in a basketball court in Chinatown, New York, without hearing anything outside the window. Young Ming also graduated from high school and is 1 week younger than Kobe. His tragedy lies in the fact that, not to mention his draft predictions, he has never even entered the media's field of vision. The basketball court where he is located is not close to home, and it takes 10 minutes of walking to get here. And here, during the day, it is often occupied by some old immigrants walking dogs and children. Although he didn't have a large field, young Ming also gained an advantage, which is that during shooting training, some children would take the initiative to pick up the ball for him and serve as a trainer. Schwa. Schwa. 2 or 3 children eagerly picked up the ball and handed it to young Ming. After he threw it into the basket, they occasionally exclaimed in amazement. "Wow, that's so accurate. Brother Yang is so amazing. You threw like shit yesterday, but today you're just so accurate. That's amazing." Yang Ming smiled low-key on the surface, but secretly his confidence doubled. "No, this training card is amazing. The speed of improvement is really amazing. Perhaps it's because I wrote in a very old era, without a sense of immersion, and my grades were poor, but more likely it's because I updated too slowly. Hey, it's also difficult to write in such an old era. Brothers, please give me the motivation to give a fresh evaluation." Chapter 596. The Golden Generation Comes. Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The so-called training card is nothing more than allowing the trainer to enter a mysterious training state, quickly improving their ability in forming muscle memory, and increasing ball sensation in a short period of time. This is what Kobe Bryant referred to as a zone state in an interview after he went crazy with 81 points in a single game, setting the second highest personal single game scoring record in league history. According to the explanation provided by the system for the ball control training card and shooting training card, it is no longer enough to describe it as achieving twice the result with half the effort, but to make the trainer's zone routine, concrete, and able to enter this state of training at any time, improving their ability in a very short time. Yang Ming only practiced for 2 days, and his close-range shooting level has been gradually increasing, from the original 41 points to 88 points. In 2 days, this level has already been reached, and one can imagine how terrifying this training card is. This is still the situation where he has been unable to occupy more time to use the basketball court in the past 2 days. There are too many people in this area. The old man takes a walk while the children run around, leaving little room for him to shoot continuously. He only trains for a few hours from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and from 12 p.m. to 15 p.m. at noon. There are no lights at night, and no one helps pick up the ball, making it difficult to train effectively. The shortest ball control training card, with a limited usage time of only 72 hours. Curry's shooting training card can be used for 168 hours, which is a whole week. Therefore, he always uses ball control training cards when there are many people, shuttles through the crowd, and practices back and forth, when there are few people, use shooting training cards when neighboring children are willing to help. His ball control at this time has also increased from the initial 50 to 81. The improvement in ball control is slower, but it is only a single training session and there is still enough time to continue using the training card. But the shooting training card includes 3 items. Close-range shooting, mid to long-range shooting, and 3-point shooting. Although this training card has a terrifying and super bug-like effect, its usable time is too short to be endlessly squandered, which makes him feel regretful. I don't know if I will get these things in the future, but in short, the careful use of these training cards. Especially the shooting training card, which includes 3 shooting exercises with a limited time of only 168 hours, it is necessary to allocate time reasonably, otherwise it will be wasted. He started with close-range shooting, which means shooting from below the basket and within the free throw area. At first, he pitched with stumbling, which was very reflective of his original level. Later, the more he pitched, the more he felt and the smoother he pitched, seemingly forming a specific feeling when shooting. When this feeling arrived, his close-range shooting ability skyrocketed, rising by 10 points in the first hour. But as it rose to the end, it became increasingly difficult. At 3 o'clock an hour when he raised his close throw to 90, it suddenly felt like he was stuck, and it took him 2 hours to improve by 1 point. As he watched the training cards being consumed more and more, he quickly changed projects and began practicing mid-range. The same goes for medium distance. The lift is rapid in the front, but slows down in the back. At 90 o'clock, it gets stuck and the lift is unusually slow. Moreover, the farther the shooting distance, the slower the improvement. When it's time for the 3-way training, there are only 100 hours left to use the training card. His 3-point ability is already very poor, only 13 points, and with the further distance from the basket, it took him 70 hours to improve his 3-point ability to 90, which is twice as long as mid-range and twice as long as close-range shooting. With 30 hours left, he suddenly stopped training and planned to keep it for later use. After all, he practiced alone and had too much time without accompanying him, so it was unreasonable to limit the time consumption and it was necessary to eliminate such waste. On the other hand, the ball control training card, although improving slowly when used, can dribble the ball anytime and anywhere without requiring too much space or accompanying practice, so he is not worried about wasting the time of the training card. Walking on the road, climbing stairs, running, he can also dribble between various movements, and the greater the difficulty, the faster it improves. With the passage of time, more than half a month has passed, and after finally using up his ball control training card time, his ball control, close range, mid-range, 3-point, etc. have all improved by 90. Ball control. 95 close range. 92 medium distance. 91 3 points. 90 in less than a month. I spent a total of 210 hours using 2 training cards and was able to improve my 4 abilities by over 90. It's really terrifying. What a pervert. This series of abilities that have passed 90 is definitely enough for him to need during his trial training, and it also fills him with confidence. During the past half-month, young Ming was immersed in the process of training and improving his abilities, and naturally many things happened. For example, the celebration parade after the Bulls won the championship, and the preparation of draft picks and player trade preludes by various teams in the league. For example, the conduct of a talent show. The draft on June 26 had already come to an end, and as expected, Allen Iverson became the number 1 pick, just like in Yang Ming's previous life, and was selected by the Philadelphia 76ers. And the tall center Marcus Camby was selected by the Toronto Raptors as the runner-up. The Memphis Grizzlies used a scout to select power forward Raheem, who is over 2.1 meters tall. Marbury successfully won the favor of the Milwaukee Bucks in 4th place. The Minnesota Timberwolves signed Ray Allen with the 5th pick. The Boston Celtics signed Anthony Walker as the 6th pick. Kobe Bryant was unexpectedly selected by the Charlotte Hornets as the 13th pick, and high school students were ultimately looked down upon and did not enter the lottery. O'Neal Jr., Nash, Peja Stojakovic, Fisher, and others, who will form a brilliant golden generation in the future, have all taken over one by one. But Yang Ming knew that many of these people would quickly change hands. For example, the exchange between Marbury and Ray Allen, Kobe's unwillingness to report after being selected by the Hornets, was successfully brought to the Lakers by the iconic Mae West. However, all of this has nothing to do with Yang Ming for the time being. He is currently unknown, and although he signed up for the draft, there was no success. It was expected that he would not be selected, so he didn't even watch the draft and devoted himself to training. His current goal is to participate in the training camp before the start of the Summer League, along with other draft picks, free agents, and edge players, to participate in this final opportunity to enter the league. In short, the Alliance is about to enter the era of the 96 Golden Generation. Chapter 6. Found Treasure. Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The exclusive training center for the Knicks is currently bustling with matches against various players. Massive, testing talents, testing various abilities, test the ability to shoot at designated locations, etc. In short, the training grounds of the entire 2 basketball courts now gather 20 to 30 players. Most of these people are rookies who were not selected in this year's draft, with only a few free agents. They will work hard for the Knicks' only 7 spots in the Summer League, and the remaining 5 spots will be reserved for the Knicks as edge players. In fact, the players who came to attend the Knicks training camp are already the team with the highest number of participants in all team training camps. This is the attraction of the world's largest city and global market. As long as one can be kept by the Knicks, get a normal player contract, and have the opportunity to play, there is a high possibility of becoming famous overnight and having a good chance of becoming famous. Of course, currently there is no player who can become a league superstar from a training camp contract. So, such dreams can be made, but the chances of being realized are almost negligible. A total of 32 players participated in the Knicks training camp, competing for 7 spots, with approximately a 5.1 chance. This put immense pressure on them and the situation was not optimistic. Therefore, at this point, most people are putting in a lot of effort, striving to showcase themselves and win the opportunity to stay. Don Chaney, as a member of the Knicks coaching staff and as a team assistant, presided over the work of this training camp. And head coach Van Gundy has already started preparing for the transaction with the management during this period. Luke, there are really many people this year, aren't there? After Van Gundy was promoted to head coach last season, Don Chaney went from being the third assistant to becoming the first assistant. The power is not small, and it can organize a certain amount of tasks, which is highly valued by Van Gundy and the management. Yes, Tang, today is much more than before. Luke Brent, the second assistant behind him and responsible for team training, smiled and replied. The two of them walked around the field with their hands behind their backs, carefully watching the players undergoing the test. In the physical testing field, Yang Ming, who was undergoing testing with black hair and yellow skin, immediately caught their attention. Asian player. Strange. Accustomed to watching white and black players, they suddenly saw a yellow race appear for the first time, which was somewhat discordant. They couldn't help but become interested and deliberately leaned in to take a closer look. Test player. Yang. He is 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 200 pounds. Spread your arms 7 feet 2 inches, hiss. The staff member who was reporting suddenly took a breath of cold air and specifically confirmed Yang Ming's arm span again. They reported again, 7 feet 2. The recording staff was also surprised, and after receiving confirmation, their writing hands were still trembling. This arm span is too long, it's like a gibbon. Not only the two of them, but also the coaches Don Chaney and Luke behind him were extremely surprised, looking back and forth at the numbers on the record board with Yang Ming. Next came the so-called talent tests such as touch high, bounce, and speed. After the staff reported them one by one, not only the 4 of them were surprised, but also the other players around them were attracted and watched one by one. Height in place. 107 inches, 272 centimeters. Maximum touch height. 150 inches, 382 centimeters. Approach height. 155 inches, 394 centimeters. As the staff recorded one by one, the surroundings were filled with cold air, and the eyes that looked at Yang Ming one by one were full of shock. Is this a monster? Bouncing up to 110 centimeters. I'm going crazy. Who is he? This bounce is so amazing, even the approach and touch are above the top edge of the rebound, it's really unbelievable. He should be the most outstanding guy in today's physical examination, he's only 6 feet 6, my goodness. What an incredible guy, he's so twisted. Amidst the gasping gasps of amazement, Tang Chaney and Luke, the two teaching assistants, exchanged a glance at each other, recognizing their respective expressions of shock. The two instinctively felt that they might be about to find treasure. Michael Jordan became famous and a few years later, his talent and abilities were already known to the public, not to mention those in the industry. They have already thoroughly studied Jordan's talent and fully understood it. That's why suddenly a talented newcomer with characteristics similar to Jordan will be labeled by the media as the successor to Jordan. For example, Penny Hardaway and Grant Hill are both rookies with exceptional talent and exceptional abilities. Jordan's success has brought countless commercial value to the Bulls by winning 4 championships, which has had a great impact on industry professionals and the management of various teams. Not only are media professionals tirelessly searching for a successor to Jordan, but the owners and management of the other 28 teams in the league are also searching. At this moment, a guy with a talent even more abnormal than Jordan suddenly appeared, and Don Chaney and Luke trembled with excitement. Take him to test the others again, fast. Excited, Don Chaney quickly gave instructions to the staff. Soon, Yang Ming's other test results were released. Bottom line turnaround run. 10.7 seconds, 3 to 4 half-court sprint. 2.8 seconds, 100 meters. In this era, few players test this thing, and basketball games are not sprinting, but Don Chaney secretly estimated that Yang Ming's speed could definitely reach 10.3 seconds. Because the opponent's bottom-line turnaround was 0.3 seconds faster than Jordan's, while the latter's 100-meter race was only 10.5 seconds. From this perspective, Yang Ming is more like a fully upgraded version of Jordan. With this consensus, without the need for staff, Tang Chaney and Luka almost had to carry Yang Ming to the halftime to conduct various basic tests. Mid-range fixed-point shooting, with 25 balls, Yang Ming made a total of 22 shots from 5 positions, with a very high shooting percentage. 3-pointers, also 25 goals from 5 positions, Yang Ming threw 20 goals, which is also extremely efficient. After some ball control, the two assistants widened their eyes and looked at each other as they saw Yang Ming being able to dribble smoothly without any sourness or stagnation. I really found a treasure. The grades are so poor, it's really a disaster caused by the long history, hey. Chapter 7. Can cultivate a Jordan. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, the head coach of the Knicks and the team management, including general manager Ernie Greenfield and head coach Dave Checks, were extremely busy. They constantly shuttled between the office and the conference room, just for one man. Oh my goodness, isn't the boss too excited? This contract is simply difficult to complete, it's unreasonable. No, you still underestimate his value. Please note that if we don't pay such a price, we won't be able to sign him at all. Yes, he hasn't renewed his contract with the Bulls yet. This is our good opportunity, do you know? But I think we should be more practical. Allen Houston from Detroit is good. No, we don't want fake football stars. He's the guy we need the most. Aren't you always having a headache for the team's lineup and lacking a strong attacking weapon? Only he can do it. This is too irrational. If we take out this contract, we can both sign 2 or 3 superstars, but now it's just for him. Is it worth it? The rational Van Gundy and the team executives Greenfield and Checks, who were made Alexander by Dolan, were in a heated debate, with Michael Jordan at the center of the topic. Yes, a spicy man has led the Bulls to 72 regular season wins in the past season, passing all the playoffs and winning their 4th championship in team history. Jordan dominated the regular season, All-Star game, and NBA Finals MVP this season, making it to the first team of the best team and best defensive team, and winning the scoring championship for the 8th time, soaring to the sky. However, he has not yet renewed his contract with the Bulls. After his 4-year rookie contract expired, Michael Jordan renewed an 8-year, $26 million super contract with the Bulls in the summer of 1989. However, in 1995, after the NBA league and major television stations re-signed broadcasting contracts for this super contract, the era of explosive player salaries suddenly turned into a cheap contract. At the end of this glorious season, Jordan's contract with the Bulls expired. Jordan retired in 1993, but the Bulls did not stop paying wages, which allowed the Bulls to extend their old contract with Jordan until 1996. Jordan earned $3.85 million in the 1995-96 season, and at that time, 27 players in the league earned over $4 million annually. Even though Jordan's off-court income exceeded $40 million at the time, he found it difficult to continue receiving a low salary, especially when his friend and NBA career loser Ewing received an annual salary of $18 million. Alonzo Mourning also received tens of millions of dollars in salary from Pat Riley. Even Patrick Ewing can get nearly $19 million in big contracts, and 27 guys in the entire league who are not as good as me can earn more than me. Why? Jordan appeared calm on the surface, seemingly still in the joy of winning the championship, but his heart was full of excitement. So during this period, he chose to enter the free market with his agent David Falcao and observe the changes. As for whether he is putting pressure on the management and boss of the Bulls, Reinsdorf, or trying to make a splash in the free market and see his own worth, only he knows. In short, Jordan is now like a super nuclear bomb in the free market, causing huge waves. Many teams, including the Knicks, have begun to plot to obtain him. All information about other players in the free market is blocked, just to bring him back to their own team, even if they offer him a super top salary. James Dolan was even more ambitious, giving orders to the management to sign Jordan at any cost. At this point, the Knicks only had over 10 million yuan in salary space, which was not enough to complete such a task. Therefore, the management and Dolan's team racked their brains and finally discussed a feasibility plan. The next day, they offered a super large contract to Jordan himself, including a commercial endorsement for a certain hotel and shares, with a total annual salary of over $30 million, in order for Jordan to have tangible income after retirement and make comfortable money. At this time, there is no maximum salary limit in the league, and the number of players received is entirely determined through negotiations between the agent and the GM. There is also no luxury tax, and the salary cap only restricts signing people from the free market when there is not enough space. The new labor management agreement reached after the shutdown of '99 in the future only added top salary restrictions and luxury taxes. In the past period of time, the Lakers' general manager's logo man West, in order to sign Shaquille O'Neal, was willing to trade all-star center Divac for rookie Kobe Bryant. In addition to valuing Kobe's potential, what is more important is to free up salary space for Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Dolan's boldness and decisiveness have directly shaken the entire alliance. You should know that in the past season, the league's salary cap was only over $24 million. Such a terrible contract shocked the entire league while also silencing Jordan. Although this contract is large, it is very difficult for him to leave the Bulls, who have just won the championship and have been using it as their home since joining the league. Just as Van Gundy was still arguing with the management, General Manager Greenfield's phone suddenly rang. "Who are you? I'll give you 10 seconds to finish it." He seemed to be trying hard to persuade Van Gundy and felt restless, roaring with a face full of anger. Unexpectedly, the other side was even more impolite. "Please give the phone to Jeff." Greenfield pondered for a moment, recalling who the voice on the other end of the phone belonged to, and instinctively handed the phone to Van Gundy. "Hello, I'm Jeff Van Gundy." Compared to him, Van Gundy appears much more introverted and his tone is quite calm. "Jeff, I'm Don Chaney. I think it's necessary for you to come to our training center." "Training center? What's up?" Upon hearing that the person across from him was his teaching assistant Don Chaney, Van Gundy asked in confusion. "We found a Michael Jordan." Don Chaney replied enthusiastically. "Discovering Jordan." As soon as Van Gundy heard the man's name, he ignored some words in his words and asked in shock, "What is Michael doing with you?" "It's not Michael Jordan himself, but a little guy with more talent than himself." "Oh my goodness, I've never seen someone with such excellent physical fitness before. Come on, come on." After being urged over there, I was about to hang up the phone when suddenly I thought of something and added, "It's best to bring 1 or 2 people from the management team and let them come and take a look. We may not need to pay such a high price to sign Jordan himself, we can cultivate one ourselves. I need to look up too much information, it's really difficult to write. I'm looking for all kinds of support." Chapter 8. Super Genius Shocking Management. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tang, what did you call us to do? Van Gundy brought Griffield Della to the training ground and only saw all the players in front doing warm-up activities, without any noteworthy areas. He frowned heavily. Don Chaney looked very happy with a smile on his face and said, "I'll show you a super genius later." Super genius. Who is it? Greenfield glanced at the 20 players on the sidelines of the field, greatly surprised, and carefully searched for the so-called super genius in the opponent's mouth. After a day of trial training, there were originally more than 30 players, but after screening, only 20 were left, and Yang Ming's black hair and yellow skin became even more eye-catching. In the crowd, his figure was quickly noticed by him and Van Gundy. Can't the physical examination be this kid? Thinking to himself, Greenfield asked in a voice, "Is it that Asian with yellow skin?" "That's right, it's the kid you think in your heart," Don Chaney nodded with a smile. He handed a table in his hand to Greenfield and Van Gundy, and then walked towards the players to announce the start of the group confrontation. The table that Greenfield and his companions took over was a physical examination table by Yang Ming. Just by looking at the data on it, they gasped for breath. This data is so abnormal. Both the physical hardware and talent tests on the table surprised the two, and what surprised him even more was the level of projection. Is this data true? Who is he? Greenfield was deeply impressed by the talent test data in this table, and secretly compared his understanding of Jordan. His gaze remained fixed on Yang Ming, unable to pull it out no matter how hard he tried. "He is a high school student who came to our place for trial training yesterday, an authentic newcomer." Don Chaney arranged group exercises and had the third assistant Luke watch as he walked back with a big smile on his face. He likes to see Greenfield's shocked and deformed face because he was the same yesterday. Newcomer. Still just a high school student. Graduated. Greenfield's interest grew stronger. "Of course I graduated. His shooting ability is also good, with a high shooting rate." Looking at his assistant Don Chaney's smiling reply, Van Gundy paid more attention to the projection data on the table. "Yes, he's not only talented, but also has a certain level of shooting skills." "Wow, that's what surprised me even more." Van Gundy said of Yang Ming's shooting, and Don Chaney didn't calm down. He exaggerated his arm and gestured fiercely. "He's a high school graduate, just as young as Kobe, who was taken away from the Charlotte Hornets trade by West of the Lakers. Oh no, he's even a week younger than 18 years old. Do you know how precious it is for such a young guy to have such a high level of projection? Do you know what this also means?" Van Gundy and Greenfield certainly know what this means and how valuable it can be. Isn't the significance of this just indicating that this newcomer is not just a skilled and talented jumping man? Having such talent and a good level of projection, combined with both, they understand the terrifying aspects even though they have not yet been proven in the game. The things reflected in Yang Ming's test form are really excellent. So it seems that he's really a good little guy. Even the conservative Van Gundy was shocked. He raised his eyebrows and suggested with great interest, "So, let's take a look at how excellent he is. I hope he doesn't disappoint us." No matter how talented and outstanding his shooting ability is, they still need to see the truth in the competition. Therefore, they are more looking forward to Yang Ming's performance in the upcoming group competition. Only by experiencing real competitions can he prove himself more, otherwise everything is a castle in the air. But why haven't you ever heard of this little guy before? Greenfield was very concerned about Yang Ming, and he was surprised that he had such outstanding talent that he had never appeared in media reports before. In theory, such a newcomer should have become famous during high school. Once you become famous, you will inevitably be caught by those ubiquitous journalists, and in the draft, even if you can't enter the lottery zone, you won't be much worse than the Hornets rookie Kobe Bryant who was just traded to the Lakers. I have inquired with him about this issue. Don Chaney pondered slightly and said, he has only been in New York for a year. He used to study at a high school in Chinatown, which is not famous for basketball. So it's normal for him not to be known to the outside world. Chinatown. Downtown Manhattan's Chinatown. Greenfield was surprised to find that Yang Ming came from Chinatown, a gathering place for Chinese people. Chinatown in New York is located in downtown Manhattan, while Madison Square Garden is located in midtown Manhattan. The distance between the two is no more than 2 kilometers, just like a neighbor's child. He feels even more intimate. Yes, that's it. Don Chaney nodded with a happy and excited expression. That's why we might have found a big bargain. Otherwise, how can we still get him if he is signed off at the draft? At this point, Don Chaney paused and looked at Yang Ming, who had already taken the field, with a very serious expression. If he could really fulfill his talent and show potential like Jordan, we would really have found treasure, he said. Greenfield and Van Gundy nodded one after another, their eyes fixed on the field ahead. But just as he looked over, Yang Ming on the field gave them a big gift package directly. Perhaps due to a special arrangement by Don Chaney, Yang Ming was assigned to the side with all the draft picks in the group stage. And their opponents are the 3 rookies selected by the team in this year's draft and 2 fringe players who have already signed formal contracts. This opponent is a bit too powerful. It's like bullying someone. Even if their contract is only a base salary, they are still players who have been retained by the team and have proven their strength. They formed a team with 3 rookies and faced off against Yang Ming, who was all in the draft. It seemed like a bully, and the strength gap between the two sides was too obvious. However, as soon as Yang Ming received a pass from his teammate, he trained one of this year's 3 rookies, John Wallace, a small forward who was 2.03 meters tall. He held the ball outside the 3-point line, passed Wallace in one step, and broke into the inside line. His smooth dribbling, without any sourness, allowed him to effortlessly jump to the basket and score a dunk. Greenfield and Van Gundy widened their eyes as they watched Yang Ming, who was flying up like an arched figure, brilliantly smash the ball towards the basket, feeling extremely shocked. The speed is too fast, his defenders can't keep up at all. This explosive power, this first step, oh my god, it's so fast that it's overwhelming. Looking for flower feedback. Next, I will speed up the coding speed and try not to let you wait too long. Chapter 9. He worth a contract. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Option 1. Play super well in group matches, get a summer training camp contract, reward free throw training cards, if you fail, add 10 injury attributes. Option 2. Dance in front of everyone for 10 seconds, reward 5 points of freedom attribute, if 1 second is missing, deduct 10 and 3 points of ability value. Before the start of the game, Yang Ming received the system's prompt sound, becoming more motivated. Are you joking? The first option is to increase your injury attribute by 10 points if you fail. The second option, if you also fail, will deduct the 3-point ability value that you finally improved to 90. He is not willing to do this. Even if you put in your life, you must complete it. And the first item, he didn't hesitate at all and chose it all. Anyway, since the first time he accepted the task, he realized that the system wasn't limited to single choice. Since that's the case, he chose all of them and didn't miss a single one. At the beginning, Yang Ming completed a dunk and returned to the backcourt with great energy. Their opponents are amazing, they are all players with formal contracts, which is the envy of him and a group of draft picks. As long as you have a formal contract, the minimum base salary is also over $250,000. A base salary of $250,000, which is inconspicuous in contracts with a base salary of over $1 million or a top salary of tens of millions in the next decade, is undoubtedly a huge sum of money and a considerable income for these players from the lower echelons in the 1990s. You can definitely buy a nice 3-bedroom apartment in Chinatown, New York, or get a single apartment in Midtown Manhattan. In New York, or in the Manhattan area, the cost of living is very high. Even if it's just a 20.30 square meter apartment, it costs over $200,000 to $300,000. Moreover, all daily necessities are much more expensive than in China. In the 1990s, housing and prices in Manhattan, New York were quite expensive. Obviously, it is not something that a draft like Yang Ming can afford. If he is not kept and cannot obtain a formal contract, he must consider leaving New York and pursuing his dreams with other teams. Even if he gets a formal contract, he can only choose to settle down in Brooklyn or Queens, where the cost of living and housing prices are much cheaper than in Manhattan. So, Yang Ming must put in more effort to perform. After scoring the first goal, he appeared very active. The second goal arrived in the 3rd minute, and his teammate held the ball over the front court, trying to break into the inside line, but was stopped. He had to split the ball and it happened to be in the hands of Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't hesitate to catch the ball at all. He rushed in with his head down. His strong explosive power made the first step start incredibly quickly. John Wallace was stunned by his somewhat gorgeous and deceptive dribbling, and the next moment he lost his figure. When he regained his senses, Wallace realized that his inner teammate's substitution had not caused any impact on the opponent, and he was directly shot by Yen. Yang Ming took a step outside the free throw line and made a mid-range shot. Standing in front of him was one of the rookies this year, Walter McCarthy, who was 2.08 meters tall and played in the 4th or 5th position. Yang Ming's takeoff height is very high, almost 1 meter off the ground, and with the shooting height brought by his ultra-long arm span, even if McCarthy jumps up and blocks in time, he can't reach it at all. Yang Ming's 3rd goal came from the 5th minute, when his teammate grabbed the rebound and missed a strong attack, but he forcefully dunked it. Self-snatching and self-withholding were not a big deal, but what he showed was that Greenfield and Van Gundy on the sidelines had sparkling eyes and a constantly flashing expression of surprise. This little guy's talent is simply mouth-watering. The explosive power, speed, jumping speed, and attacking awareness are all so excellent. I really found a treasure. Yang Ming only pitched 3 goals, but these 2 big shots showed that he was not just a superficial rookie, but a guy with unlimited potential and an incredibly strong sense of attack. Especially when seeing Yang Ming's 4th goal, grabbing the ball with one hand, shaking away Wallace, and shooting a 3-pointer, the two of them looked at each other with dazzling eyes, and their hearts were greatly shaken. He is definitely worth a contract. Yes, if he can maintain this kind of performance in the future, it will also be the most important part of my future plan. He will be the striker and weapon I want. Let's continue reading. It's too early to draw a conclusion, isn't it? His current performance is completely out of the same level as others, so I can't tell anything. But I have decided to send him to the Summer League to continue polishing while exploring more things. That's up to you. The two of them had a very tacit communication, with a desire to make a decision, and continued to read on. But in fact, the upcoming competition time became Yang Ming's personal performance, and everyone else became a supporting role. After demonstrating extremely excellent offensive and shooting skills, he not only gained recognition from his teammates, but also gained more ball rights. Breakthrough, close range, medium distance, with a 3-point shot, Yang Ming used almost everything he could, showing off his offensive ability crazily. He didn't even spend energy on defense and instead focused his mind and body on offense. 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, in just 2 minutes of a short half-time match, he scored a personal 45 points, shocking everyone. His precise projection and unstoppable breakthrough surprised everyone. His outstanding form and performance didn't seem like a rookie, let alone the previously unknown wild boy who jumped out of nowhere. Today, in their group of draft picks, edge players, and rookies, there is an incredibly shining superstar. He's really great, so have you made a decision? Tang Chaney and Luca were so surprised by Yang Ming's performance that they couldn't stop smiling. The former looked at Greenfield and Van Gundy with a smile and asked, You can take him to the summer league now, and we will give him a contract, at least for the summer training camp, said Van Gundy, as they exchanged a glance and smiled one after another. Is it the training camp contract? Don Chaney was very dissatisfied. He knew very well that such group matches had no reference value because Yang Ming's opponents and teammates were all average players, and the intensity of the game was not high. But he still frowned and asked, "Aren't you worried that if he performs well in the summer league, he might be taken away by other teams? He's my Michael Jordan now." Many, many flower reviews. Chapter 10. $20,000 in 15 days. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The group match of two players in groups ended, and when Yang Ming walked back to the sidelines, Greenfield and Van Gundy seemed to lose interest and turned around wanting to leave. The sudden commotion behind them suddenly pulled their attention back. Yang Ming didn't know what to draw, but when he returned to the sidelines, he suddenly started dancing in the crowd. Michael Jackson's space dance steps, catching birds, shaking and dancing. For 15 seconds, he started dancing in front of everyone. His dance movements were very non-standard, and he was also very weak. He jumped like a zombie, causing bursts of laughter. The two big shots of Van Gundy couldn't help but laugh at his clumsy and hasty dance moves. "We all got it wrong, this little guy turned out to be a silly guy. But it's very interesting, isn't it? Haha." After taking a deep look at Yang Ming, Greenfield suddenly took over the position of general manager and said to Don Chaney, "You'll notify that kid later. We've decided to sign him." Don Chaney nodded happily and, after Greenfield left, picked up Yang Ming Dan, who was a little shy after dancing. At night, Chinatown. The starry sky is shining brightly, and the lanterns are beginning to shine. Yang Ming has finished taking a shower and returned to the living room to watch TV, waiting for his mother to pack food and come back. Since Yang's mother worked at his uncle's restaurant, it has been difficult for her to have time to cook meals at home, and Yang Ming can do it himself. After all, he is a person of two generations. However, in order to behave more in line with his age and previous living conditions, he usually waits for Yang's mother to pack meals and go home after finishing work at the restaurant. By 9 o'clock, tired all day, Yang Ming's stomach had already been ringing, strongly suggesting that when he sacrificed his organs, Yang's mother finally returned home. Watching her walk into the living room exhausted, Yang Ming felt very distressed. Yang's mother works in a restaurant, busy all day, standing almost the whole time. It's only after dinner that she has time to rest. It's hard for anyone to bear such a tiring job, especially when the eldest aunt is very stingy and almost unwilling to spend money to hire. Yang's mother almost takes care of everything. But tonight, he felt heartbroken and his mood was still very happy. Because he is about to leave here with his mother, Chinatown, and the exploitation of his great aunt. "Mom, take a day off tomorrow and come with me to do something." When he sat down to eat, Yang Ming wolfed down and didn't forget important things. "What's going on?" Yang's mother sat opposite him, smiling and looking at him with a loving expression on her face. "Accompany me to sign the contract." "When I tried training with the Knicks, I was informed that I could stay and sign the contract tomorrow," Yang Ming replied calmly. "Sign the contract." Yang's mother was extremely surprised, her eyes fixed on her son, and she said, "How dare they take notice of you? Hello, I am your own son. You actually use the word." Surprisingly, Yang Ming rolled his eyes in dissatisfaction and said angrily, "Mom, are you looking down on your own son? I'm quite impressive." Yang's mother was questioned and didn't take it seriously. She smiled and said, "Look at what you said, how could I possibly not look up to you? That's such a happy decision. Tomorrow I need my parents to accompany me, and then I'll find a lawyer." Yang Ming struggled to swallow his meal and laughed. "The contract may be a bit big, and a lawyer must be present to carefully review it, otherwise I won't even know if I'm being tricked." Although NBA player contracts have become very formal, with an absolute set of standards, after all, players are not fools, and there will be agents and legal teams to help analyze and reference them, so theoretically there are very few traps and so on. But if we don't guarantee it, we will bully rookies like Yang Ming, so no matter what, we must have a lawyer accompanying us. Okay, let's see if we can take a half day off tomorrow. Yang's mother doesn't ask how much the contract will involve, nor does she have any concept about the income of NBA players or stars. She only thought that her son found a job after graduating from a junk high school. She has always been very open-minded and supports everything Yang Ming does, except for violating laws and regulations. She sincerely felt happy for her son to find a job. Just thinking of her sister-in-law, she frowned and said with some uncertainty, "It might be difficult, the restaurant is understaffed." Yang Ming looked deeply at his mother, her charm still lingering, but the corners of his eyes were already wrinkled, and his somewhat weathered face was heartbroken. He said with a cold face and displeasure, "If you don't agree to take leave, you can quit that job. It's my turn to take care of you in the future. Don't joke, you just found a job. What do you need to support yourself with? The expenses for both of us are not small." Yang's mother smiled bitterly and shook her head, but after taking a serious look at her son, she gritted her teeth and made up her mind to say, "If you don't get a leave, even if I'm absent from work, I'll accompany you." She values her son's first job very much. The next day, Yang Ming found a lawyer at a law firm in Chinatown and took a half day off with difficulties, but was still required to go to the Knicks headquarters with his mother who had to return to the hotel before noon. In fact, when he arrived at the place and entered the general manager's office, Yang Ming realized that he didn't need to come so grandly today. Greenfield only offered a training camp contract, which means inviting him to play in the summer league with a 15-day itinerary. But it seems that in order to show the team's importance to Yang Ming, the contract has given the maximum amount and clearly includes a clause that prioritizes signing. That is to say, if Yang Ming performs well in the summer league, is favored by the team, and there are competitors, the Knicks have priority. Although Greenfield loved Yang Ming's talent and attacking ability, he was still very cautious. In a group match within the team, he did not make a hasty decision, so he chose to extend the time and continue to observe for a while. Yang Ming did not bargain either, after all, he had never proven himself in a major competition. At this time, demanding more would only be ridiculed and humiliated. Only when he truly proves himself, he doesn't have to worry about no one asking for it. So let the accompanying lawyer take a brief look and confirm that there were no issues, and then he signed his own name. Coming out of the general manager's office, Yang's mother was still in shock as she saw a large number on the contract. $20,000, my goodness, why so much? Well, it's the compensation I received from participating in the competition within these 15 days, which already includes the appearance fee, accommodation fee, catering fee, and bonus. 15 days and 20,000, that's still a lot. As if beyond her own understanding, Yang's mother still looked incredulous. Yang Ming smiled with a calm expression. He thought maliciously to himself. If you sign a formal contract in the future and look at the annual salary of millions, even tens of millions of dollars, you will always be scared out, right? Seeking flower evaluation.